gender neutral words. Who cares? Ooh, no. Yeah, cool. Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. This week I'm going to be talking about the importance of gender neutral words. Now before we get started, if you want to subscribe down below, that would be wonderful to see more videos like this. Now let's jump in. So obviously right now and forever, huge conversations happening everywhere between some qualified people and some not qualified people over trans issues, gender neutral issues, etc. And so this week's video is about the importance of using gender neutral language and why we should use it, and then I'm going to give some examples of words that you can say instead of things. Now obviously important to say that no one's gonna kill you if you don't. I think so often it's I'm not gonna use gender neutral, you can't make me. It's no one's making you. No one's gonna kill you if you say ladies and gentlemen, and don't use kind of a non-binary term. No one's gonna kill you. It's just, these are suggestions and they're ways to just make people feel more included. And if you're just a nice, decent person, would you not want to just include everyone and not make people feel excluded and feel weird and in a society where they already feel weird? Would you not just want to do that? So these are just suggestions. Use them if you want to, don't use them if you don't want to, but why not? So the majority of the words that I have are jobs and positions, things like postman, things like that I'm going to go through. And I get it. I understand why a lot of these words have man at the end of them, because for years and years and years, men were the only ones that were allowed work, and so they were the only ones that did those jobs. I get it. But times are changing, and to be honest, you hear so many stories of these badass women who did these jobs even back in the day, and so I feel there was always women doing these jobs, and so even back then it probably wasn't accurate to just say postman. There probably was women that delivered the post, even if it was under the radar and if it was covert and not seen to be the best thing in the world. I feel it's just not. It probably wasn't accurate then, and it definitely isn't accurate now, because we have so many women doing every kind of jobs, and jobs don't have genders. So it makes no sense to me why the name for that role would have man or woman in it or whatever, and this goes both ways for even, saying female whatever or male whatever. It goes both ways. They should just be gender neutral, because jobs are gender neutral. And it's actually even when I was making the list, I was so surprised at how many words just have men in the name of it. I'm is there actually a need? Were you all that lazy and you couldn't figure out how to name something without putting the word men in it or man in it? It's insane, and we'll go through it now in a minute. Another thing to say as well, I think, is a lot of people I think are oh well, what's the point in making gender neutral if there's only a really small minority of women who do that job or whatever, or really small minority of trans people or non-binary who do that job. And it's I hear that, I hear you, but also
I don't understand. I hear you, but I could search the web for it.
That's Siri. Did we all hear Siri there? And I'm just interrupting the video. That's great. Yeah. Anyway, it's I don't want to say I hear you again, because she'll hear. I do hear that, but it's just not accurate. And I'm all about accuracy. If you're addressing a room, and even if there is just one non-binary person or one woman in a sea of people who deliver post, it would be inaccurate of you to just say, dear postman. So yeah, I'm just even if it's a very small minority of women or trans people or non-binary people doing that job, it's just just be accurate and just address the group as they are. Even if it's just one woman or one trans person, it means they're not all men. # not all men. So it's just not accurate just to say postman. It's not. I'm not about it. I also personally just love using gender neutral terms. It just it saves you from even having to think about the person's gender. Not that you should be, because it's none of your business, but it just say if you see someone and they're maybe a bit androgynous or maybe a bit gender fluid, and you don't know, it just saves you from having to figure out, do you know what I mean? You can just say they, or if it's their profession, just use the gender neutral version. It saves them any kind of maybe potential embarrassment or having to explain it themselves, and they're probably exhausted of having to explain their gender identity to anyone, So I just think it just saves everyone so much time and just unnecessary energy. Who cares about someone's gender? Just use the gender neutral word, and then you neither of you have to. If you don't, obviously, if they want to talk about it, brilliant, great. Let everyone know your pronouns, stunning. But if they don't want to, it's just use the gender neutral version, and then it saves everyone unnecessary energy. I think it's great. And one thing I wanted to mention as well is just the importance of not assuming that the male version of the word is the standard. and like revert back to that. I think that can maybe happen a lot. And a lot of the words that I have here, I actually have like a completely separate word to the male and the female version. I just think so often the male is seen as standard and then anything else is seen as a deviation. And I'm not about that life because the male isn't the standard. It's only 50% of the world, so I'm just not about it. So I wanted to kind of just mention that as well. And hopefully with some of the words I provide in this video, you won't need to do that, or you won't need to kind of divert back to the male word. It is very bright. Oh, this lighting is kind of bad. There I am. Okay, here we go. I have it on my laptop. There's actually loads. So yeah, we'll just see how we get on and we'll just talk through them. So the first one I have is the word mankind. So like, ooh, hello, man. It's like not just like men. Something I did figure out recently was apparently like way back in the day, and feel free to Google this and correct me or whatever, but apparently back in the day the word man was actually gender neutral and actually meant both a male and female. So that could be where this word comes from, which is interesting. But I think like it is like right now the word man is male. And so I think even though the origins of the word maybe come from gender neutral things, it's not nowadays. So I think that's kind of it's interesting to maybe not use that word. So some alternatives are humankind, love it, sounds a bit more cooler. Humanity, hello. Human race, or just people. Like, you know, if you were needing to use a sentence and you're like, oh yeah, mankind, you could just say people. You know what I mean? It's quite simple. Like, it actually is, like, when you're going through this list, it actually is quite easy to not use words that have genders attached to them. It actually is quite easy. And again, just saves everyone the hassle. Next one, okay, chairman, hello. So obviously, with, you know, the last few years, a lot more chairwomen, but like, you can also just say chair. Like, chair, that's like a completely accepted thing, instead of like, and like, again, it just saves people, just saves the gendering of it, which is just kind of not really necessary. If women do want to use the word chairwoman, like if you want to use it about yourself, like you know, that could be cool, because you know, for so long there was no chairwoman, and if you want to like own that and make a point of being like, I am chairwoman, brilliant. But if you want to just use gender neutral term, chair is pretty cool. Sorry, this lighting is shocking. I'm actually embarrassed. It's like the morning time, the sun is all over the place. Next one is fireman. No, like there are firewomen. So firefighter, like firefighter. It sounds quite American, so it's kind of cringy, but like firefighter. That's all you need to use. And again, like there are firewomen out there, firewomen, but like firefighter. You fight fires. YOLO. The next one I really love, and it's instead of using husband or wife, spouse, because I think spouse does not, that means you're married, doesn't it? Spouse, partner. You know, it's just so easy not to. And again, like this is not assuming people's sexuality and stuff. Like if you're talking to a man, not to assume that he has a wife, and if you're speaking to a woman, not to assume that she has a husband, you know. So it's just so much easier to say, oh yeah, like, is your spouse coming? Do you have a partner? You know what I mean? It's just so much easier. And again, just saves people just kind of any like embarrassment or any kind of just like vulnerability that they might not want to, like, you could be a complete stranger and they shouldn't have to kind of talk about their whole life and what, you know what I mean? Like, so it's just nice, like, I think. Next one, salesman. Like, okay, first of all, it's kind of maybe an old term, but like salesperson is such a grand alternative. I'm actually blinded by this light. Oh my god. Salesperson is, yeah, just so grand and like so much easier to use, I feel. The next one I thought was kind of funny. So when people say the word manpower, which kills me, and again, I know, I guess where it comes from, but like, ew, no. So some of the words they said were like, use workforce or like human effort instead. I guess it's kind of a funny one, it's kind of a difficult one. Manpower, how would you use that in a sentence? Like, oh yeah, we need a lot of manpower now for that or something. You could say, yeah, we need a good workforce for that. We need a good human effort now for that. Yeah, bit dramatic, but yeah, you know, you get the point. It is possible to not use the word manpower. Now, the really interesting one is instead of maiden name, because maiden obviously is for like unmarried women or whatever. It's sexist. It's just dodgy territory. So instead of saying maiden name, say family name. And then again, that goes for both, say, like maybe gay men who have taken their husband's names, and because maiden is inherently female. So again, like you would like, how would you ask them, oh, what's your maiden? Like, no, it just wouldn't make sense. So yeah, family name. What's your family name? Yeah, it's just so much easier and nicer and better. And yeah, family name. Everyone use family name from now on. Then the next one, which, oh my god, I never even thought of before doing this video, which I'm like dying about, is the word manhole. So I think, like, you know, when you have like a hole in the ground, it's called a manhole, I guess, because men go into them and like fix things or whatever. But like, so annoying. I'm guessing there is at least one woman out there who does this or who goes into these holes, like manhole. Oh my God, is there it like? And this is what I talk about, like unnecessary putting up the word man or men into names of positions for jobs. Like it makes no sense. Like, do we have to do that? So what I saw one said was to use maintenance hole. A maintenance hole? Can we make that a thing? Maintenance hole, or just hole in the ground? Let's make that a thing. I don't know. The next one is man-made, which is a very common word, I feel. And again, I'm not about it. So instead of that, you can say human-made, or just like artificial, synthetic. Like, we all know what you mean when you say that. So instead of saying man-made, yeah, just use one of those words and we'll all be a lot better, because I guarantee you there was at least one woman who made it as well. Like, Then the next one I saw was repairman. Again, it's quite American, I feel. We wouldn't really use that in Ireland. But again, you could just say, like, you know, in repairs. You know, I'm getting that done in repairs there. I don't really know if that makes sense. Or you could just say, you know, the repairer. Sounds kind of like a superhero or something. The repairer. Yeah, the repairer. I don't know. Do you use the word repairman? Let me know. Then another great one is, instead of like my brother or my sister or your brother or your sister, sibling. Again, like, you know, if you maybe think that, you know, your friend's sibling is maybe like trans or non-binary, or just, you know, figuring bits out, your sibling, you know? It's just, again, it's just, it saves you trying to figure it out when you don't need to be, you know, saves them. Any kind of just like awkwardness of having to explain it, and you're just like, yeah, cool, like your sibling, like no big deal. Like, then the next one was an interesting one, and it was like forefathers, which again is fun. Again, wouldn't really use that too much here, but it is a word that you hear, and again, it bugs me because it's like forefathers are seen to like have made the world and have done everything, and it's like, women were also there. Women were there, and I'm sure trans people were there. I'm sure non-binary people were there doing bits, but it's like, oh, the fathers get all the credit, and that's like, the mothers gave birth. Like, like, there would be no people if it wasn't for the mothers. Like, oh, can't even get involved. So yeah, instead of forefathers, you can say ancestors or forebears. Yeah, but I think ancestors is kind of cool. The next one, again, just unnecessary gendering of something. The phrase gentleman's agreement, which I didn't even really know, but I guess it's just like an agreement where there's no kind of official written contract or anything, but you just like shake hands on it or something, and you call it a gentleman's agreement. Like, oh, like, get away from me. Like, why does everything have to be gendered? But the term I have instead to say is just unwritten agreement. Like, you know, we shook hands on it, which is, again, is quite a male. I think you think of kind of maleness when you say that. But yeah, unwritten agreement, casual agreement. Like, why does everything that one out is just unnecessary. Then the next one is sportsmanship. Again, like, you hear that one so often, and it's like, there are, again, trans people and women doing sports, or so I've heard. So some words I have for that, and I'm not sure can these be kind of swapped in like exactly, but like, you know, saying like fairness and like good humor, like, oh yeah, there was good fairness now in that, or instead of saying like there was good sportsmanship, like, yeah, that was a good game, or, you know. So like, it is possible. It's sometimes it can be like, oh, okay, is there really a good word? But it is possible. Next one, housewife. Again, like, no, it's just not apt these days, because there are plenty of men that stay home. There are plenty of same-sex relationships that one person is staying home or whatever. So again, it's just not necessary. So again, it's just not accurate, and that's where it really comes down to. It's like, I'm all about the social justice aspect of it, but also it's just like, it's not accurate to say that one group is all one thing when it's just not, you know. So yeah, instead of a housewife, you can say like homemaker. I have here shopper, which is kind of funny. Like, shopper makes kind of no sense, but homemaker, or just like stay-at-home parent. That's cool. Yeah. I'm just making this up as I go along. Next one, which I think is good, is craftsman. So what I haven't said is like craftspeople, craftsperson, or artisan. Artisan's kind of fancy. And again, there's no gender in artisan, so why not use it? It's fun, it's genderless, it's cool. Yeah, let's use it. The next one, again, and like, it's just like, when you go down the list, you realize how many words have the word men in it. So the next one is like watchman. So I don't know if they are guarding a castle or something, or I don't know. But yeah, instead of that, you can just say guards. You know, again, just gender neutral guards. There's no men in there. It's just so unnecessary. Like, so yeah, guards, just use guards. The next one then is interesting. It's like the master of a ship. And so master, if you don't know, is inherently male. It's like what you call like little boys. Like, when what are we? Are we maiden? Are we Mrs.? Or what is the female? I can't even remember. But little boys, it's called your master, which is insane. So instead of that, you can say captain, skipper, pilot, like all gender neutral. Yeah, again, they have like male connotations because they've been used for men for so long, but they're not. They're gender neutral. You can use them. Captain, skipper, pilot, like, so much better. Like, just use that. Or just, you know, the person who runs the ship or runs the plane. Just, yeah, it's just, you don't have to use the male version. Then again, something really interesting, anchorman. Not that I have too much need to be using the word anchorman in my life, but you can just say anchor, the anchor. I think that's fairly kind of like accepted nowadays. Anchor, yeah, cool. Then the next one that I find fascinating is like cameraman, which again, this is really interesting because I actually know a camera woman. Like I actually do know one, and so we were having a conversation about it one day, and she was just like, yeah, like people were like, oh, where's the cameraman? And she's like, I'm here. And it's just so insulting. Like you already probably feel like you shouldn't be there, and then someone says that, and you're like, oh my god, it just makes you probably like feel like shit. You know what I mean? And that's literally, I know someone who that's literally happened to. So like, it's just camera operator, I think, is the term that you should be using. And it just, yeah, it makes everyone just feel so much better and so much more included. And I feel like, you know, we should all be using these words to make a point and to kind of get people's brains thinking that like, okay, why do they use that word now? Okay, is there other people who are doing this job and not just men? You know what I mean? Which there are. So I think, yeah, I'm all about it, guys. And even guys there, like guys is an inherently male thing, and yet I'm still doing it. I'm learning, we're all learning, I'm trying not to do it, so yeah. But actually, while I'm on the subject, a good word for that, which someone told me recently, is folks. Like folks, it's quite American, but again, I'm trying to maybe start using it. It's gender neutral, like instead of saying like lads or guys, folks. It addresses everyone in the room, and you're just like, folks, yeah, it's cool, yeah, folks. The next one again, which I think is so interesting, which I didn't really kind of like cop or something, is the word heirs. Like again, I don't need to be using the word heirs too much, but like say people who will like inherit things and heir to something. An heir is a male version, so it's like heir and heiress or whatever, but we kind of say heirs. Again, we use the male version as standard, but there's no need. So you can use the word beneficiary. The beneficiary, yeah, or I guess maybe you could use the word inheritor. It's not really a word, but we could say it, inheritor. Oh yeah, just beneficiary, yeah. So again, if you are ever inheriting something, you are a beneficiary. So again, then we're back to the word postman. Again, I know a lot of people have postmen, but I actually have a postwoman. Yeah, a woman comes to our door and she delivers the post, and it's wonderful. And I'm like, oh my goodness, like it's just not accurate to be saying postman. So I like to make a point of saying post person. It doesn't sound natural, it doesn't come out of my mouth naturally, but I like to say it post person, or like postal carrier, you know, they carry the post. So yeah, it's kind of a funny one, but we need to, like, that's when I do kind of put in the effort to use, and it's good. I actually would love to know what she thinks, but I might ask her the next time. That might be really condescending, but maybe if I feel the vibe is right, I might ask her what she uses herself, or does she encounter this problem often. Then another one I think is really interesting is the term cleaning lady. So I think we all kind of inherently say cleaning lady, but again, just not accurate at all. So I think we should say office cleaners. Like mostly it's probably your office that's being cleaned or whatever. So office cleaners, like so around, or just the cleaners. Like there's just kind of no need to say cleaning lady. Do you know? Just yeah, office cleaners. Cool. The next one is air hostess, and I think there has been a conversation about this for a while, but again, you can just say like flight attendant, because even the term like steward and stewardess is gendered. So like flight attendant I think is like just grand, way better term, gender neutral, no bother. Yeah, flight attendant. The next one, you know, the term layman. So a layman is like someone who isn't like a professional in something. Again, just lay person. I think that's fairly kind of common as well. Lay person. Yeah, no other. Just talking lay person. The next one, which I love, is instead of saying like waiter or waitress, say server. And again, it's quite American, but I feel like we could bring it in here. Like, yeah, your server. And again, it's just, I feel like waitress has like negative connotations or something. And it's just like, I think it's like looked down upon or something. And it feels kind of like derogatory or something, even though it shouldn't be, but it feels it. So I feel like server is just like, yeah, server, cool, no bother. And then lastly, the phrase to man something, like, you know, like if you're keeping guard or like you need to staff something, we say like, oh, to man something. And again, it's just like, it's not accurate because there are probably women there. So it's just like insulting. So again, you can say like to operate or to staff, like, oh yeah, let's staff that now, and then we'll be fine. So I think it's just so much better. So yeah, that is a very long list, but I think it's good. I encourage all of you to use it and let me know what you think. But that is it for this video. Thank you so much for watching. As I said, if you want to subscribe and like the video and leave a comment if you get any more suggestions, that would be wonderful. And I will see you all in next week's video. Thank you. Bye.